Bueno, pues muy buenos días a todos y a todas. Bienvenidos al Centro Universitario de Estudios Cinematográficos. Tenemos varios compañeros del CCC y diversos invitados, entonces nos da mucho gusto que estén aquí en esta conversación con el cineasta Béla Tarr. Yo le voy a dar la palabra a Guadalupe Ferrer, que nos hizo el favor de invitar al cineasta junto con el Festival de Morelia. Así que muchas gracias a ustedes por estar aquí y a la Cátedra Bergman, que también participa en este evento. Abrir la Cátedra Bergman. Gracias.
Sí, buenos días. Es un segundo. El maestro Béla Tarr no quiere que esto sea muy oficial, dice que suena muy oficial, pero sí, esto es realmente para agradecer muchísimo al Festival de Morelia, que logró que pudiéramos tener este encuentro con Béla Tarr. La Filmoteca de la UNAM le dio la medalla en el marco del festival y pues esto de alguna manera lo relacionó emotivamente con la UNAM, cosa que nos da muchísimo gusto. Y así que inmediatamente invitamos a la Cátedra Bergman, que estuvo dispuestísima, al CUEC, por supuesto, y a compañeros del CCC. Les puedo decir que su interés realmente es platicar con los estudiantes, con los jóvenes cineastas, y pues bueno, eso, les presento a Bernhard Hetzenauer. Es un cineasta austriaco, joven cineasta austriaco, también artista plástico, y él está aquí además porque nos corrió la gran cortesía de venir a esta entrevista, ya que escribió un libro que publicó la Filmoteca sobre Béla Tarr y Lacan. Entonces, pues pensamos que sería muy bueno que alguien que lo conocía tan profundamente pudiera simplemente dar pie a esta plática. Así que pues disfruten, aprendamos y bienvenidos todos. Gracias. Ay, perdón.
You know what I think? As I see, all of you are young filmmakers, and I would prefer if we have an open discussion about the filmmaking, maybe about you, and because for me much more interesting than just to talk theoretically or this kind of official, because the whole set is a little bit official. Okay, Bernhard.
I thought actually that's what I proposed to you in the morning, that maybe it would be more interesting also to open up the space for question to the audience. But maybe we can start with like where you come from as a filmmaker, this social aspect in documentary style, visual style. Where does it come from?
First of all, you have to know I never wanted to be filmmaker, and it's true. And you know, when I was around 15, that was a time in Hungary and in, let's say, Middle Europe, when the spirit of the 68 revolution in Paris, Prague, and almost and here too, and you know, when the young people said fed up, and it was a very, very important thing in our life, because it was a big, it's not only politically or socially. That was the time of the sexual revolution. That was the time of the rock and roll. That was the time of the joints, and you know, it was a cultural revolution. The life became different, and it's not only the life, the spirit your point of view became different, and you just started to discovering the world. And you understood the world is not only you. And you start to listening for the other people. You start to understand and discover the social problems. And you just try to really, it was a really, really important thing to understanding and the importance of the understanding the world. And somehow that was a point. I was a student in a high school, and I just, it was in the beginning of the 70s when we started to revolting. We do not accept anymore this old-fashioned education, this whole fucking shit, the whole society. When your goal is to have a flat, nice flat, and you have this kind of one-dimensional life, but we refused. And of course, I had to meet with some other people. I met with some real poor people, and somehow I discovered our society. And I was, of course, very strong leftist. And I was just listening how the people are living. And somehow I just wanted to share it, my knowledge, with some other people. And that's why I was doing my first experience. It was when I was 16 years old. I shot a 20 minutes long, let's say, movie, or if I look back now, it looks like an essay about gypsy workers group, and it's somehow I started to interesting about the filmmaking.
Were there already films that influenced you in that time, or maybe from Hungary or abroad?
Not much. This time, of course, everybody was watching in Hungary Miklós Jancsó's work. He was a very strong, very influential person. And we were watching, of course, this time Jean-Luc Godard. We discovered Ozu and a lot of things.
And Cassavetes also?
No.
Exactly.
That's time not. No, that's time not. When I saw my first Cassavetes, it was in the almost middle of 80s. I remember for the first what I saw by him. It wasn't in Hungary.
And was there, how can we imagine Hungary at that moment? And was there an exchange of films? Could you have access to foreign films easily, or was
No, it was very difficult. Fortunately, we had a Cinematográficos like here, and they were definitely stealing if a film appeared for once in Hungary, they made a copy, mostly black and white copy, and mostly 16 millimeters. And of course, they did not pay any rights and nothing. It was stolen copy. But if you found an access for them, they did it some screenings, sometimes some stolen prints. And that was how I could watch, for example, Jean-Luc Godard or Truffaut or some others.
And when you started with your first films, how was your approach as a director? Did you improvise a lot? Did you have a very clear script? How was your approach?
Now I think time to talk about what is means the filmmaking for me. First of all, I still don't know what is the filmmaking. Really. And because I'm coming from the side of the life. I'm not coming the side of the education, or I did not have any film education. When I shot my first feature, I was 22. And I just wanted to show part of the life. Of course, I understood I have to make a kind of structure between the things and between the people. And then afterwards I went like this. 5 days, 5 shooting days, almost no budget. Really, we just paid the lab and the Rostock and rented a camera. And that was all. No salaries, nothing. And that was my first feature, A Family Nest. And of course, later I got a budget and I got professional crew, and it's step by step. I learned a little bit about the filmmaking, but I never used script because I think it's useless. And I was using all the time just small cards. I wrote note about one scene. It was one card. And I just wanted, I put it on the table, and I just wanted to see the structure of the film. And I could see immediately, okay, if this scene, it's not fulfill everything what I was expecting, in this case for the next scene, I have to change the next scene. That's why I cannot use the script, because the script is written and you are going to the set and you want to fulfill, you want to do it. It's so stupid, because the life is all the time different than what you wrote at the desk. For example, you wrote a character, but this character you cannot find in the life, of course, because it doesn't exist. It's existing only for you. And what the bad directors are doing, calling an actor and pushing the actors to play this character. Horrible. Horrible. You raped this actor. Because what I'm doing, I have an imagination about the character. And of course, I'm doing my casting and try to find a little bit similar personality like my character. And of course, when I see the real person in front of me, and when I feel her or him, when I'm with them, I have to spend with them a lot of time, because we have to know each other. And you know, like when you are pianist, you know, if you push the black button, which sound will come. You have to know well your actor or your partner in this work, because you have to know, if you wanted to get this emotion, what you have to tell her or him. That's why I think the script is useless. And because it just looks like a big coat. But if somebody is coming, you have to listening for her or his body, and you cannot use it this big coat. It will be ridiculous. And that's why I never used this shit. And plus it's words. It's just words. It's not space, not time, not movement. You know, the film is a lot of things together. Rhythm. And this is what you cannot write down. You have to create in the set, in the location. Okay, something about the script.
And this has...
And sorry if somebody is teaching or learning script now. Switch it for the directing.
And has this approach changed over the years? Because your films have changed a lot. But do you take more notes now or less notes, or has this changed somehow?
Nothing changed. The way of the working is still the same. Small cards, and you know, for example, the shooting of the last film, The Touring Horse, we had a catering bus. I put it on the wall, all cards. All crew could see where we are, what we shot, what we did not shot, and everybody could understand the film. And of course, I never give any script for the actors, because it's no reason.
I imagine at the Touring Horse, many people who worked with you already knew your approach because they had been in other projects. How important is intimacy and really having a kind of family at the set for you?
For me, it's very important because I'm a lazy guy. I don't like to talk too much. And I don't want to convince every day to somebody to do this. And I don't want to hear it. They are asking me why. And I don't want to answering for this question. Because, you know, when you are in a set, you don't have time. Time is money. And you have to do what you have to do in this day. And you have to finish on the time. It's no chance to explain anything to anyone. I can tell, okay, you are sitting here, you are standing there, you are moving from here, the camera can, this is the opening picture, you are moving from here, this is your first position, second position, third position, let's try. And then do.
I was just thinking of this moment, there's a documentary on the shooting of Touring Horse, where we see how you look for the position of the camera to shoot the tree, and with Fred Kellerman, you and a few guys, you walk in the fields. Can you speak about how you the process of deciding camera angles and shots with your cameraman?
I'm a little bit autocratical guy, and as I told you, we don't have time in the set to talk. And I'm telling to him, okay, this is the first picture. Put the camera here. You start from here, and then step by step. Fred is very good for the framing and very sensible, you know, because when the camera is rolling, you have to trust your cinematographer, because he is framing, not me. Of course, I'm standing next to him, and somehow when the camera is rolling and I'm telling to him, fuck, lower, closer, slower. But, you know, the final frame is coming from him.
Do you ever use video assists when shooting?
Yes, absolutely. I'm using, and it's a big help, but you cannot judging the lighting, you cannot judging a lot of things on this video assist, and the right rhythm, because on the big screen, everything is a little bit different, has a little bit different frame and a different rhythm than the video assist. The video assist picture is much smaller, and it's more stocked.
And it's video.
And of course, you cannot judging the picture, because I shot all the time for film, celluloid. At the beginning, 60 millimeters, and afterwards, 35 millimeters. But I'm still film guy. And we can talk a little bit later about this, my opinion about this digital language.
And what was the first film where you used the video assist?
I don't remember. Really.
Do you think this tool, having that, changed your way of working?
No, just make it easy and make it a little bit cheaper, because it's happened when we did not use it, the video assist, and I could watch the scene only on the screening room in the lab. And sometimes I said, okay, fuck, we have to reshoot. And this video assist helps a little bit.
In Turin Horse, did you have to do a reshoot?
Yes. We had to reshoot. Because of the lighting. I did not like the lighting in the first 3 days material, and we had to reshoot.
Everything you shot in the first 3 days?
Everything, because it was badly lighted.
Okay.
And afterwards, I was really careful about the lamps.
Speaking about labs, I'm jumping to another topic, but nowadays when there's film is like each project, people decide more to shoot on digital, and the labs are decreasing and less labs every day. Do you think what's your opinion on the use of film actually, and on the possibilities of use? Because sometimes you cannot even use black and white because there is nowhere to process. You have to travel to United States or.
No, I can do it. If I say, usually the Kodak producing only 120 meter long raw stocks, which is only 4.5 minutes. And I had to tell to the guys in Rochester, I will start my new movie, and they know I need 300 meters long raw stock, and they will produce it. But as I heard now, the Kodak going to bankruptcy. But anyway, I don't do more movies. Let's talk a little bit later about the digital language, because we are not just jumping. And it's no logic now.
So let's get back to these first films where you used more documentary language.
It was absolutely fiction. We just pretending looks like a pseudo-documentary. That was the way of the filming. It is a style, but it was a fiction. It wasn't a real family. I was doing a casting, and I said he will be the father, and he will be the son, and I introduced them only at the first shooting days. And they did not know each other before, but I knew them, and I know what can I expect from them. But it's not. Yeah, I wanted to. Yeah, I used this kind of documentary style in a very simple reason, because I just wanted to show to you the life, and of course, my characters were real proletarians. They were real people. And we were using 60mm handheld camera, and we were using bad cuts, and really I just wanted to do it, a film from the trash, because just show it how the people are living. The main character is not coming from the cover page of the Vanity Fair.
And but later you changed your visual language.
It was step by step. It's not going like changed. It's, when you do a film and when you finish a film, you will have new questions. And of course, new questions are appearing, and you cannot answer for the new question with the old answer. That's pushing you all the time to change something, to haunting something, to find something as a new answer. And of course, film by film, the style is moving further. It became deeper, because how you are getting old and thinking more deeper, you see how the things are not simple, and how, you know, in the very beginning I was thinking we have a lot of social problems. If we are solving the social problems, everything will be fine. That was my vision. That's why I wanted to do a film. I did not want to do a film. I wanted to change the world. My goal never been to do a fucking film. My goal it was to change the world. And of course, the world doesn't want to change so much. But, you know, film by film, I just understand, okay, the problems are not only social problems, they're ontological problems. And, you know, and it went, and at the very end, you know, let's say when we did the Shatan Tango, we were thinking, yeah, the shit is cosmical.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. What do you mean by this?
It's everything is in the shit. The whole creation is bad. And that's why we did it by the end, my final answer for this, it was the Turing horse. When we say the whole creation, it was wrong, and we do an anti-genesis film when we are taking back.
And you always emphasize that you're atheist, and but still there's evil somehow present. Let's say in Werkmeister, for example, this evil dark prince who is kind of manipulating people.
There is no any metaphysical shit, is sure. First of all, just before when you became too sophisticated, I have to tell you, in the film there are no symbols, allegories, and no metaphors, because those categories valid only for the literature. The film is a very concrete thing. A filmmaker is a simple job, like the carpenter. You have, you know, this camera, and on the camera there are some lenses, and the name of those lenses altogether is objective. It means you can shoot only the things that they are existing in the reality. If you are a writer, you can write like Krasnahorkai, he can write 25 pages about these sunglasses. And I'm a poor, ugly filmmaker, and I have just a chance to show the sunglasses. How is it? Of course, I have to find the perfect sunglasses. I have to find the perfect, let's say, I have to create the environment for this, and of course, and the best camera position to show it. And this is a huge difference. That's why I'm turning back again for the script problem, because it's useless. The words is one language, and the film is another language. The film is pictures, written, sound, human faces, situations. You have to understand, the main issue is in the filmmaking, if you are doing feature film, but all films are feature films, because if you do a documentary, the presence of the camera changing the situation. It's immediately. You are talking with somebody personally, and if the camera as a third person appear, you will be different. Even if you are forcing yourself to be yourself, but you are controlling yourself immediately more. That's why I think every film is feature film. I don't know what this means. Documentary, I never could do it, and I never did it. Plus, feature, because you decide where do you put your camera. You can put your camera to there, and you can watch only us. But for me, much more interesting, my point of view, when I'm showing you. But this is also, you know, it's a kind of ethical question. Where do you put your camera? What do you want to show? What do you want to sharing with the other people? And why do you do this? Why? Because touching the camera is a kind of responsibility. It cannot talk only about your ego. And, you know, I was doing, let's say, my film school, which it wasn't school, for 4 years. And I was telling to my guys, let's say students, they weren't my students, we were friends, and I told them, just please don't believe you are an artist. Forget it. You are just a fucking worker. And you are not an artist. The artist is a kind of achievement what you can get from the people. When the people will say what you did is an art, and you know the time. If somebody is watching your stuff 20 years later, it's suspicious. Maybe art. But it's really, believe me, I hate if somebody is talking about art. Talk about the life. What's going on the next corner? Really, it's important. It's not your vision. Go there. Do it, do the life. And when you understand, you don't have to learn the filmmaking. Sure, sorry for the teachers, because you will be unemployment if I'm talking too strong. You know, you have to learn the life, and then afterwards you find immediately your best camera position. You will find immediately the best casting. You will find immediately the best location, and you can find immediately the best situation because you understand the life, how is going the life between the people, and then it's okay. Because the main issue, you have to create a good situation, a human situation front of the camera, when the people are themselves. They do not playing script, they just reacting normally as a human being in the normal life situation. And then, of course, it's very important how do you filming. It has to appear together, no priority. The way of the filming and the situation is they are hand by hand. And then it will be very easy. Believe me. Believe me, it's nothing. And then, of course, when you had done, as I told you, new questions, one step further.
And this ambience of confidence, of mutual trust one feels when watching your films, it's the same thing with actors and with non-actors. How do you create this with your protagonists?
I was thinking it's logical, but I can tell you more, okay?
I think this is
Okay.
an important thing.
Very important things, yeah. The casting is the main issue, of course. As I told you, we have, let's say, an imagination about the character, what we want to show on the screen. And of course, you have to find the right person. And it's, I never direct the actors. I'm just creating the situation, and then they are being, and the half of my job is done, because they are just themselves. That's why you have to know well then their personalities. You have to know how they will react for this situation, and as a person, not as an actor, just as a simple person. And then you will see the wonder, how they are in the situation, how they are listening for themselves, how they are reacting for themselves. And you can see on their eyes on the screen, they are in the situation. They are not fake, they are not pretending, they are not playing, they are being. And this is the most important thing for me, and it was all the time, to grab them. Of course, this is a dirty job, because you are stealing their personality, and they are naked on the screen, and you just show them how are they, but sorry, this is your job. And but sometimes they are forgive you, and they love you. Believe me, and this is a key question, the casting. For example, let's say the casting for the Turin horse. It was obvious, the father and the daughter, but we needed a horse. The filmmakers usually sitting, watching casting tapes and something, and then they say this. No. I went for the East Hungary, close to the Romanian border, the poorest part of the country. And I went there, and I was animal market, when they are selling pigs, cows, horses. And it was horrible, believe me. And I was hunting a horse. I was watching the horses face to face. And then I saw one, and they told me, this is useless. She's not working. She's good for the sausage. She refused to work. Useless horse. And I said to my production manager, our horse. And they wanted to put her to the coach, and she was revolting immediately, and they could not lock her to the coach. And of course, that was our horse. Because if the film is talking about a horse who doesn't work, you need a horse who doesn't work. This is, I think this is a very good example, and I hope you understand what is the difference.
I want to go back again to this transition in your visual language, with the changes of the questions. I think with Damnation, a new let's say kind of, I wouldn't say phase, but a different visual language is much more established. I mean,
you are wrong. You did not watch carefully the films. If you see carefully, you see each film, it's somehow just some new things are appearing. Of course, I was in Japan after the Almanac of Fall, and I went to Japan, and it's it's changed a little bit it's opened my mind. It's not changed, but I became more brave after this trip. I can tell you, for example, one thing. It was an old Japanese professor who took me to the museum, and he was showing me a picture. It was a big white space with two black points. And the old guy was asking me, what do I think? What is important on this picture? And I said automatically, this fucking Western logic, I'm watching, yeah, I'm focusing for the two black points. And he said, this is the difference, because we are watching for the white. Let's say, if we say the two black points are the story, the white, the environment, it's maybe more important. And I was thinking a lot. And that's, I said by the end, yeah, the guy was right, because the stories are not important, especially in our Western culture, when we, since the Old Testament, all our stories are done. You know, you cannot create new stories. Please do not waste your time. Just open the Old Testament. All stories are there. Mother fucking, mother killing, brother killing, Holocaust. Everything is there. And you cannot find better. It's sure. But the way how we are doing our same old stories, it's interesting. It's interesting how we are doing this. And somehow, in the case of Damnation, I just felt much more free. I flew back from Japan, and on the plane I decided, okay, I was so stupid. Why I did not involve, for example, the time? Why I do not involving the nature elements, rain, wind, dust, mud, you know, a lot of things. Because we are living not only, you know, our life is going in, let's say, in our ground, but in the space and in the time. And the films are mostly ignoring the time, because the storytelling is a very simple thing. Action cut, or information cut, information cut. Somehow we are doing the same, information cut, but the question is, we say, we are using, for me, information is not only the story, it's maybe just a piece of curtain. You know, it's also a part of our life. Of course, it's your decision what you want to show, what you are involving. And you say, okay, the time is one of the main characters. The location, the face of the location is the main character. The space is also the main character. Everything has an importance.
Yes, and I think that through this time you give the spectator when watching the faces, something happens within the spectator. You are in your films, in those later films, you're able to deepen your this gaze and really understand much more profoundly the faces, and that's a thing that I think is really extraordinary in your films, which is quite singular.
I told you, I'm still not filmmaker. I don't know how to do the film, fortunately.
Sí, hay una ¿Tienen preguntas?
Yeah, I prefer this when we are doing a dialogue and not.
Talked about your way of working with cards, not deciding on the desk what will happen next, but only main frame or something. What do you have in these cards? And you have to film in the chronological order or in the order in which you will have the movie edited.
Unfortunately, I did not take with me because I'm all the time keeping them for my, I don't know for why. You know, for example, let's see, Touring Horse. We had a prologue. He goes back home with the horse. That was all. Second card, arriving at home. Third card, dressing down and up. And that's all. You know, because you have your characters. Fortunately, I had good characters, especially the horse, especially Janos and Erika. They were okay. And when you are there, and your camera, of course, it's not improvisation, because I'm sitting, for example, in a touring horse. We did not have house. I just found the valley, and I saw it, this lonely tree there, and I was standing at the valley, and I was telling to my production manager, who was all the time with me, and I told him, don't get heart attack, but we have to build the house to here. Of course, he was close to the heart attack. We had to revise the whole budget and everything, and then we started to build the house with real stones, old wood. We funded old guys from the countryside who knew how they have to build this stone and wood house. And of course, I knew approximately, let's say 80%, all camera movements, and we built this house. Looks like a studio, looks like a real set, but it was a real house. They were offering for me, we can do it with this plastic sheet, and they will painting, and it will be looks like same like a house on the screen. And I said, okay, show me 1 square meters of this stuff. We went there. They were showing to me, and I said, forget it, guys. I need a real stone and wood house, because when the actors are touching, you know, when you are touching, you have to be in this too. It's not only, you know, and this is how it goes. It's one hand has to be real, and you have to find your way how you show it, how you filming. But as I told you, objective. It has to be there. Can you believe we built it the well? It was everything built. And we really, it was perfectly. We just saw it, okay, from this point to 3 through the window how it looks. And I knew how the gypsies will come, how we have to shoot the scene, how we will shoot this, how we will shoot this. And it was very easy because I was just telling to the workers, we need here a big space, there is a smaller space, like a kind of alcove or something like that. But and we built it more than half a year.
I'm going to speak like a producer because it's the way I'm coming from. But it wasn't be easier to find the house than rebuild it?
I tried. I was spending 3 months to hunting, really. And I had 3 assistants. They went around the whole country. My concept it was, from my house, the location cannot be further than 18 kilometers. That was my mania, because, you know, the former film, it was The Man from London. We shot in Corsica, and I never slept in my own bed. And finally, we did not find. Okay, the circle it became 50 kilometers. Then afterwards, 100 kilometers. Then afterwards, no. It wasn't real good face. I told you the location is one of the main characters. It has to have a real face. Meaningful. It was nothing. Boring. I could not believe to make a fucking picture in this place. What can you do? You have to build. But the producers, you know, fortunately, I was lucky with my producers because they were very intelligent. They knew. They got the best from me when they left me free. And they could not get anything good from me if they had started to talk to me. They never came to the set. Never. They let me free. I'm sure I can get the best from you if I let you free. And I do not tell you anything because you will force yourself to do something really good, your best.
Béla, I wanted to ask you, what happened to the house after the film?
Gone, because it was an illegal building, because there it was a very big gas pipe under the building. We got a permission only for 4 months or something like that, and it has to be destroyed because of the security reason. And I'm happy because nobody could see it, only just a screen.
The thing that amazes me is the how do you manage the wind in the movie? How was it constant in the strength? And I couldn't imagine a fan big enough to make that wind, and I don't know. How was the process?
Wind machine. Wind machine. It's, you know, it's, if you see this documentary, I think you can watch on the YouTube, this French guy was shot, you can see how we made it. It really looks like a medieval shit. You know, very old airplane engines, and they do it in big wind, and but you know how by the end some professional SFX guy came to the set. They said they will do perfect wind. They took these machines, and it was absolutely bad. I don't know why. The professional, film professional SFX guys, they could not understand what we want. You know what we did? It was the next week on the village where we were shooting close. We went to the pub. There it was sitting 3 strong guys. And we were asking them, okay, come on guys, you will use it, this wind machine. They learned it in 5 minutes. And then afterwards, because they were big, strong, and not spoiled fucking film industry guys, they were really enthusiastic, and they were doing perfect wind. And it was simple. You can see their names. They are really guys from the village. We asking them, they were sitting in a pub. They did not have job, anything. They were happy. They became crew member. They were my SFX guys. Special effects. It was ridiculous what they were doing.
Can you share with us how you approach lighting? Because you need to create this atmosphere, and how do you decide if the lighting is bad for your film? And maybe one example, in the opening shot from Bergmeister Harmony, it's a Steadicam shot, and it's
no.
Sorry, it's like
was
a
a dolly.
handheld, a dolly. Sorry.
Dance in the bar.
Yes, the way the camera
eclipse.
dances.
Yeah, I wrote it the card Eclipse.
Sorry.
I'm just telling to him what was written in the card. This scene, it's called Eclipse.
Okay, and the way you approach lighting in that scene, because the camera looks for all around, and can you share with us the way you approach lighting?
Lighting or the whole set, all the whole stuff, you know. I was in this pub. I was thinking, what can we do there? And then I was believing this dance. And I was sure we have to start from the stove. And then we can see he's coming closing time, 10 o'clock closing time, and then afterwards he comes from the back. But I could not expect the guy who is falling down from the chair, because he was doing. It wasn't directed. He was just, and he's coming from the back. He's telling Valushka, please show us. And then the choreography, it was okay. And the lighting, it was very simple, because we're just using a very flat light. It's not using any, because it was everything important, and somehow I just wanted to giving, when we went up with the dolly with the crane to the lamp, just for the showing the eclipse, that was important. And of course the stove got some lamp. And mostly I do not give light for the walls. Just some reflection goes. Because, you know, when you do a film, you can use it, the light, as how in the paintings. If you see this is important, in this case you can put the main light to there. You can keep it bright. And you have to be brave enough to leave it total dark, the not important things on the frame. And that's maybe this is the difference, because I said several times, like in the opening scene in the Man from London, I wanted to see this stuff to burning, overlighted, and leave it the half of the picture totally black. Why not? because the question is what you want to show. What about this frame? Each frame has a meaning.
I believe that in film and in reality, the mystery lays on the surface of things. And listening to all these questions about texture, about light, opacities and brightness, and the wind, the physical aspect of filmmaking. Would you say the same? How can you, how?
I can say only one thing, no mystery. I agree with you, this is a physical work. And this is a construction when everything is important and you have to listening. You know, it looks like a conductor. When you have a group of musicians, you have to know, you know, he will play this, she will play this, what you can expect from them. And when you are doing your concert, like when the camera is rolling, you have to counting and listening for everybody. And this is the filmmaking. Sorry, no mystery, nothing, nothing. It looks like the same, like allegories or symbols or something. No, physical, concrete work, of course, is depending what you see and what you're sharing and how you're sharing, but this is you. This is what nobody can teach you. This is, you have to be yourself. You have to find your own way. How you show for me the world what you saw and what you do, because you are not out of the world. You are part of the world. Like me, I was all the time part of the world.
Throughout the years, have you noticed like a pattern with how you come up with the ideas of your films? Like, what's the starting point for them? Is it a character, a place, a situation, or is it different every time?
Every time is different, but I'm not different. It means, you know, for example, in a case of my first feature, the reason it was Irene, she was working in a salami factory in Budapest, and she and her husband scouted a flat, and I knew them, and somehow I just wanted to shoot how the police kicked out them. And I could not shoot because the police arrested me and blah, 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 blah. And that was the let's say, the inspiration. I decided, okay, I could not shoot as a kind of document, fuck off. I have to do a feature about this. And I did it. That was the inspiration. And, you know, and when, for example, in the Werkmeister harmonies, Laszlo Krasznahorkai wrote the book. He gave me his book, his manuscript, and I said, this is an amazing book. It is. You can read in English, and I think Spanish too, Melancholy of Resistance. This is the title. That was what he gave me. And I said, this is an amazing book, but impossible to do a movie. Impossible. And 2 years later, I went to Berlin. I was doing a workshop for young filmmakers, and one of them did a casting session, and she invited a guy who was a street musician. It was Lars Rudolph, and who played by the end Walushka, the main character. And I was just watching the guy. He was sitting at the corner, and I don't know, I felt, fuck off, he is really good. And I called Laszlo and I said, now we can do a movie because I found the Walushka. He was the reason why we did it, the Werkmeister. But each film is different.
I have a question. Why did you change the title from Melancholy of Resistance to Werkmeister Harmonies?
Because the novel has 3 big chapters, and we did not care about the first chapter, we did not care about the last chapter, and I just did it, the film about the middle. And the title of this middle, it was Werkmeister Harmonies. That's simple. No, it was a much more bigger novel, and then I was just interested about this Walushka story.
In this context of having things be what they already are, and people reacting like people, like human beings, and feeling the stuff, how do other elements that may not in the literal sense be there, like for example music, enter your films?
The music is also the main character, and of course, and you know, I have to know the music before the shooting. I have to know. You have to know your main character, and that's why, you know, I was working since 1983. I think you did not born in 1983. I was working together, Mihai Vig. We were very young this time, and he had a kind of rock and roll group. He was one of the main characters in the Eastern European underground, and I was asking him to do a music for the Almanac of Fall, and I wanted to hear it before the shooting because I can make the camera movement, and sometimes we are playing the music during of the shooting, just to help the rhythm of the dolly, and somehow mentally important for everybody. And that's, he goes to the studio, he does the music, I don't go there, this is his business, I don't care how he's doing the mix or something, and I'm just waiting for the final disc. I'm hearing and I can decide, okay, this one is good, this one is not. That's what we need, that's what we don't need. Once it's happened, he made the music for the Almanac of Fall. We did not use it, but we were using for the Damnation. We had a storage, fridge. You open it, you will find something.
Well, so talking about like life and how we're carpenters and all that, what are films? You know, like, are we always lying to find the truth? Or are we finding truths that we only show through lies that are like the screen? I don't know or is film a combination of truth and lies and reality? Because I don't know, we all want to change the world, we all want to make something truth with real, but at the end cinema is fakeness, is lies. But do you think there's really like this reality inside, or we're always lying?
You know, I can't say we are lying, because you can see on the screen how is it. If the director is honest, and the director has a very, very strong, let's say, opinion, or I don't like this word vision or something, it's so sophisticated for me. You know, if I hear somebody is coming and telling this, it's strong and honest, is touching you, moving you. But if you are just start to speculating, counting with some expectations, and believing what the people want to see, would like to see, if you want to fulfill something, you are really fucked up. It's sure. The honesty and the power. That's two things what. And of course, everything is fake because you are creating something. But, you know, I will forgive you this fakeness if you are honest. And if I feel you are there, it's you.
Can you tell us about the persons you admire, filmmakers or artists or normal persons?
I admire everybody. Honestly, I don't like this kind of questions because you believe I do a kind of hierarchy. Of course I'm doing, but I don't like to speak about this.
How do you convince the people that will give you the money without a script? I love to what I hear about not working with a script, but how do you convince then the people? Yeah.
Man, as I told you, we are friends. We have to be friends. Because to ask Erika, the small girl, to take it to too heavy basket, to go in this horrible wind at the 4 o'clock at the morning to the well, throw it down, take it, it was horribly heavy. And she did not say anything, she was just doing. And you know how we trust each other. We believe each other. We don't believe the God, but we believe each other. And this is how it works. When you work with your friends, they trust you. No reason to talk too much, just to tell them what they have to do. It's really simple. It's based on your human relationship. It's not a business, not about the contract, not about the film industry, not about the career. It's about our friendship. This is a totally different basement what we have, and it's much more rich. It's much more rich than others.
Thank you.
No, just because I think I understood his question differently, and I want to, if I understood correct what you said, you were asking how do you finance the films more than pay the actors. Are your films then financed by the same process of friends who believe in your work and are financing the?
No, the financiers are foundations, some TV, I think it was involved the art, I don't remember well. It's some people's money, tax money, that we are using, not, once the first money for the touring horse, it came from the States, from Minneapolis, two ladies, it was their money, from their pocket. And, you know, it's And of course, we have to do a financial plan, and then we have to make contracts, and then when the contracts are ready, we have to go to the bank. They have to financing, because everybody just, you know, it's depending by the cash flow and something. It's a business side. You have to learn it, but it's not too important. And you need a very good production manager who is okay with this. And you're just going to signing, and you have to go to the bank, to smiling to the bank president, to feel it. He has to trust me, and I'm not, you know, that's how it goes. But I have to tell you, of course, at the beginning it was much harder and much difficult, and how I'm growing up, it became easier and easier. But it's still not normal. I have to tell you, wasting the time sitting in a fucking office, checking the figures and thinking how much what we can spend for this or for that. But that's how the filmmaking goes. Or what I was telling to my students, and you could see the prize awards in Morelia too. I prefer, if I see the bench of young filmmakers, to be more independent and shoot with this fucking iPhone or iPad or with everything. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Because the way to learn the filmmaking, it's only one, the shooting. You can learn only from your own mistakes. I swear to God.
Your filmmaking has come to an end. So would you say that the teaching is a sort of continuation of your work?
First of all, I never teaching. I don't know what this means, teaching, and I'm 100% sure I cannot teach filmmaking, or nobody can teach filmmaking, because we all are different. We all have different cultural background, social background. We have so different history. We have different religion. We have different skin color. You know, I stopped the filmmaking, and I founded, let's say, film school. It was called Film Factory, because not for the artists, for the workers. And this Film Factory, it was in Sarajevo, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Middle Europe. And it was somehow a part of the university. We were a faculty of the university. And I just announced we will start this program, and really I got 180 applications for 60 places. It means I had to see it myself. I don't like when it's fake committees are standing and choosing the applications. No, I have to work with them. I have to choose them, and it's clear. And I got the DVDs, and finally I chose. And I got students from Japan, Korea, Singapore, India, and during of the years from Brazil, Colombia. I had 3 Mexicans, and from the States, Iceland, and England, France, Spain, Portugal, Poland. You know, it was a really international group. they had to apply with 2 films, and then we started to work. And the main issue, we did not have lectures, just very few. When I invited some film theoreticians, like Jonathan Rosenbaum or Uri Gregor or Jonathan Romney from England, or it was Manuel Grosso from Sevilla. He was talking about Spanish language film, Spanish-speaking films, and you know, they were mostly just showing films and talking, because all of them were. That was, let's say, the education. They have to know. They have to have a vision or knowledge about the film history. But the other work, it was totally different. I think, and I'm convinced, the world is very big, and I wanted to offer to my kids a different way of the filmmaking. And I invited, let's say, Gus Vincent, I invited Carlos Regadas, I invited Victor Elise, I invited Guy Madin, I invited Api Chapong, I invited, I don't know, millions, Pedro Costa, really a lot of people. Everybody came to Sarajevo for 2 weeks, and they were working with them, of course, differently. Because when Tsai Ming-yang came, he was cooking with them dumplings, Chinese dumplings. Gael Garcia Bernal, he went with them to play football with the Sarajevo street kids. And Carlos went to swim with them. And you know, everybody had a different way of the Apichapong went with them to the forest for the meditation. And it was, you know, you have to, if you are a young filmmaker, you have to see the different way of the filmmaking, the different way of the thinking, the different point of views. And then you will decide, you will feel what is good for you, what you like, what you don't like, how fit for you. And I just wanted to show to you the planet. And of course, the third, that was, let's say, the practical education. It wasn't education. And the third, the main issue it was, which it was my job, to be the mentor of their projects. And I wasn't teacher, I was just a mentor. You had to come to me with your idea, and I just asking them a list of the situations. I asked them the casting and the locations. That's 3 things. And I wanted to see on your eye, you really know what you want to do. And when I see on your eye, you are convinced, I can give you the green light, and you have to go and shoot your movie. And that's, you know, how we were working. It was 4 years, very big work, because by the end we gave out almost 40 diplomas. Can you believe I'm signing the diplomas? And by the end we closed this program 15th of December. The university keep it as a, they changed the name, they call it now Sarajevo Film Academy, but it's became a local film school for, let's say, maximum for the region, but not this kind of worldwide, global program.
And why did you close it?
It's simple. It was a private university, and you know, the first 2 years they enjoyed very much, but you know, the owner started to thinking, slowly woke up, and he was asking me, where is the benefit? Where is the profit? And we had only one problem. He said, why I do not take this amount of people, let's say 60 or 80 students, they can pay their tuition and profit is done, and I can go up doing one lecture to everybody. They have to go to work alone, then I will do only one consultation, then I do exams. Because this is the logic of the school. But I said to him, no. I wanted to work with them personally. Okay, take it 80 students. And I said, impossible to work with 80 students. Impossible. You cannot, everyone is different. You cannot listen for 80 people. You cannot work 80 ideas, 80 projects, 80, no, it's killing. The border, it was 22. That was maximum. That was my limit, maximum 22.
And is there the idea to continue this program somewhere else?
No, we are thinking now maybe we can set up in a different way, not anymore as a school, not in this university academic shit, just like a talent development program in Amsterdam. We are working on it now. We will see. But it's in the best case, if everything is going well, we can do it only in the 2018 September, not earlier.
And what are you doing now? Like, if you're not making films anymore, what are you?
Right now, I'm dying for a cigarette. I'm talking since almost 2 hours. No, it's just 1 hour, 40 minutes. That's what I was thinking now. But I'm working. I have some ideas, but I never touch the camera anymore. But I wanted to do. We did an exhibition in Amsterdam, which it was somehow very successful, and the title it was Till End of the World. And now I have another idea, but I don't tell you now. And we will see how can I develop and what can I do with this.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for Daniela Mitchell for bringing Béla to Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you guys for the attention and for your coming. See you.